Okay, so today we're going to talk about the 5 Ds for success with Tim Walters of Florida Today. So fasten your seatbelt. We're going to learn and grow together. You ready, Tim?
I'm ready.
Okay, it's time to be a Muppet. We did that at the same time. Hey, did you read Rob said that you need some serious dancing lessons?
I don't disagree with him.
Okay, it's time to dance.
Yeah, I'm a little stiff.
Okay, let's work it out.
Place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And for those of you who have been listening to the show for whether a day or years, welcome back. I'm so excited that you have chosen this hour to grow with me. And for those of you who are new to the Lillian McDermott radio show and you just stumbled upon me, that's all divine intervention. I would say listen up, and if it doesn't make sense to you, then just move on. But give it a try, and I've been waiting for you, so thank you so much for listening and tuning in today. I just want you to know that it's my purpose to provide a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life, and I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. So today, I can't believe it. Another month has gone by, and we get to dissect my newest article at Florida Today with none other than one of my favorite editors, Tim Walters, who is also known as Daddy Duty. He also writes a column for Florida. I call him the Swiss Army knife of Florida Today because he holds so many different positions. The article can be found now at Florida Today, and then on Thursday, you can find it it'll be published on the paper. So you can check it out either online at whenyouneedafriend.com, floridatoday.com, or you can check it out. But what is it about? It's about the 5 Ds for success. Yesterday on the show, I shared a little bit about the article because it has been some attributes that I've been seeing in very successful people. The mind, body, spirit is what we focus here. But I'm looking at success, what I think of success. What do you think and what do you view as successful? So we're going to take a little twist in success and what it's all about. It's not just about financial. So let's take a moment because it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge. And I am grateful that Tim Walters is here to do just that. Welcome back, Tim. My goodness, you're just like a regular.
Well, I appreciate it, Lillian, and I love being on your show. You know, I have to talk sports on another radio show, so this is like such a completely different switching of gears. But This is actually a lot more in-depth, a lot more time, and it's a lot more fun to break down what you've written. So thank you for always having me.
Oh, you know what? It's interesting that you say more in depth because there are so many people that think, you know, we should have like guests every 5 minutes and be about that shallow, quick, superficial. And you know what? And that works. There are cases that works. But the reason why we go in depth with everything that we do is that we have so many questions. We don't even have time. We get so bombarded with so much information, and it's really, I'd like to call it manipulation. And so when we dive deeper into a topic, we can make informed choices for ourselves. And so today, like we get together on your show. We have 8 minutes, right? On your television show.
10 minutes.
Oh, we have 10 minutes. Oh, it seems like 8. Anyway,
I know, it flies by.
It just flies by. But it's different because we're on television and people can see our expressions. But when you're listening on the air, you know, tuning in, tuning out, tuning in, tuning out, hopefully somebody will pick something up that will resonate with them and maybe they'll run with it. But Tim, share a little bit about, because every time you get my email, I just picture you rolling your eyes going, oh, what is she up to today? So how was it picking up the article and opening it up on your email?
No, well, normally I try and, take a lot more time with your articles, but this week it kind of was one of those things where I saw it come in over the weekend. I knew you were coming in for our taping on TV at noon on Monday. So at about 10:30 on Monday morning, I was like, oh, geez, I got to get this done.
Oh, yeah.
So I opened it up and I saw the 5 Ds to success, and I was wondering, okay, I wonder what they are. And then you kind of spell it out early in the article, but then you kind of break it down piece by piece and give a nice explanation. So, it's always interesting to see what's on your mind and how you're going to do that breakdown. And so it was fun. You open it up and you have a brief opening, and then you launch right into the 5 Ds. And you talk about the success of people. And, I really like the opening point where you say that, a lot of people look at successful people and think that their parents helped them or they got lucky, things like that. And, some people are like that, but so many people are not. And it bothers me when so many people whose hard work and, they worked early in grade school and high school and college, and then they worked 2 and 3 jobs and all of these things. And, so success isn't necessarily given or, a silver spoon in your mouth. It's earned. And I think if more people truly understood that and how to do it, and I think your 5 Ds point in that direction.
Wonderful. And that's what we're going to be talking about. So you can find this article at whenyouneedafriend.com. You can also find it at Florida Today. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. So it's interesting that as I was writing this article, my first statement, I had you in mind, Tim. You have said it so much that it's a pet peeve where people think you come from privilege because you have what you have. And the reality is you've worked very hard at it. Share a little bit more about that insight and why that bothers you so much. Because I know that every time it's just been,
Well, I'll give you a few examples. So, when I was about, 13 or 14, if I wanted a video game or a toy or whatever it might be, I had to go out and mow a lawn and earn money for it. My parents weren't going to give it to me.
What a novel concept, right?
Yeah. And when I turned 16 and was legal to work, my dad said, you want a car? I was like, sure, I want a car. And he said, okay, get a job. So right after I turned 16, I got a job. And while, a lot of my friends were going to football games on Friday night, or while they weren't studying on a Wednesday or a Thursday, whatever it might be, I'm working at Arby's. I'm reading, my textbooks. I'm doing my mathematics. I was missing out on a lot of those fun things, which I is unfortunate, but it taught me a work ethic that a lot of people didn't have. So then, by my senior year, you've got people who are literally cheating off of you to try and pass to graduate high school. And, there was one time where a kid basically took my essay, my pre-essay for a final exam, Xeroxed it. Next thing you knew, half the high school had it. And then the English teacher found out and she made me retake the test, which I couldn't believe. And of course I got an A on it. She let all the other kids slide. So then, who cares? I still got an A in the class. I still got a scholarship, went to college. While I was in college, I was working at a shoe store so I could pay for everything that my scholarship didn't handle. And then when I wanted to get into journalism, I started working at the student paper as a freelancer for the Ocala newspaper, and I'm still working at the shoe store. And then there are these kids who are goofing off, going out, having fun, flunking out of college. So it always bothers me when you see the people who didn't work like I did. And then now that I have a lot in life and people, you've got privilege. No, I don't. I work my butt off. So that's kind of the genesis of why I get so upset about these things. I've been working since I was like 13.
I hear it. I hear it and I understand it. And I acknowledge you for your hard work. And I think, again, I was listening to you when I was writing that. Here we go.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407.
You want to get started? You want to hit it?
5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. This is Tim Walters. I am Lillian's guest this week, and we are discussing her article that is online now at floridatoday.com/health and at whenyouneedafriend.com. So make sure to check that out. Lillian's article this month We run it every month in Florida Today on the second Thursday of the month in print, and it's online. And she's discussing the 5 Ds to success. And we were ready to start learning right before the last break what those 5 Ds are. So Lillian, let's go right into it. What are
We're going to go
our
right
5
into them.
Ds?
Well, okay, so this is one thing that I want to challenge before we go into the 5 Ds for success. I want to make sure that people understand that when they read this article, they're not going to become billionaires. They could. I mean, there are a lot of books out there that focus. I mean, I love Dave Ramsey. I love Susie Orman. I love all these wonderful financial gurus that can help you piece it together. But ironically enough, if you have that financial wealth, what good is your life if you don't have mind, body, spirit, wealth? So I took where I feel is my strength in dealing with things head on and say, okay, there's a lot of people, like you said, that come from nothing. They've worked very hard and they've used their poverty, they've used their abuse, they've used their captivity, they've used whatever it is that they've had to be successful as fuel instead of bitterness and poison. And so they've used it for their passion instead of poison. And so that's what I was walking on the beach. I'm thinking, am I writing a financial wealth kind of article? And I'm walking on the beach going, heck no. There are a lot of other people that can do that. That's why I don't do politics. That's why I don't do sports. There's a lot of people that are really good at that. And I acknowledge them for that. But when it comes to mind, body, spirit, I believe that you can't have one without the other, just like you can't have creation without science. It seems like they all interact together. And so as I was thinking about all the people that I've interviewed, and I was about to interview Harris Rosen, who I've admired from afar, and you'll be able to hear that. You'll be coming on. I think it's in 2 weeks. But as I was thinking about all these people that have shown me so much strength in their attributes, so much dedication, I thought, can we take these 5 Ds? The 5 Ds are, their dream, determination, drive, disappointment, and difference. Those are the 5 Ds that I've identified with each person that I've looked at as successful, everybody. But do you want to just be successful in one aspect of your life, or do you want to be successful in multiple aspects? Because we bring ourselves into different events, different relationships, different jobs into making a difference. So that's where I wanted to say, okay, let's take this other look, which is the mind, body, and spirit. So with that in mind, we can dive into the whole article if you like. You're the driver.
Absolutely. Well, first, you talk about people that went from nothing to everything, and you give a couple of examples. Well, one is J.K. Rowling, who she was homeless on the streets of London. Yeah. And now, I'm not sure how much she's worth, but I know it's hundreds of millions, if not billions. and Oprah Winfrey, I believe she just passed her 30th anniversary of being on the air, and she came from, extreme poverty. Yeah. So those are two. Abuse. And those are just two great examples of people who, literally started on the street and are now living the ultimate dream. So, anyone can do it. It's not limited to, a type of person or even a country or a race or a religion. Anybody can do it. Yeah. You just gotta have that stick-to-itiveness. And so, so I think this is a great article. And so the first D toward making these things happen is a dream,
dream.
Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, I have a dream. And that's the starting point. That's the genesis. So, talk a little bit about, how you take that dream and move it forward.
Well, that is, I have quotes that are online but will not be printed. But the quote that I loosely took, because here's the thing, before I say something about dream, and I've said this on the show before, Tim, and you and I have discussed it on the air and also privately, but between 60 to 95%, and most doctors that come on my show that are integrative, functional, they have really looked at this as an important statistic that and this was documented from allopathic medicine, they believe that between 60 to 85% or even 90% is due to an emotional trauma. So with that in mind, it's like, how do we find the emotional traumas and don't allow that to keep us from whatever success we have? So the dream, we talk about financial success, but very rarely do we look at our health as optimal. So we'll eat at, places that are fast foods, places that are not causing abundance in our life. So I'm shifting now from financial success to emotional mind, body, spirit success when I write my article. So I want people to know that to dream, we have to be, we get to be aware of, the fact that this is a loose quote from an Indian proverb, which says that a healthy person has 1,000 dreams, but an unhealthy person has only one. So what good is finances if we are unhealthy? And I see you shaking your head. I mean, what have you seen?
Well, yeah, and a lot of people, for instance, dream to be successful during life, reach a certain age, retire, and enjoy retirement after that. But they don't dream or think about the health to actually make it to retirement and live beyond it. So, I'll use my own dad as an example. Here's a person that worked his whole life and, obviously was saving for retirement and trying to set up a life for him and my mom. Then along came cancer, boom, gone. So, people, and he wasn't obviously the healthiest person in the world, so his body had trouble fighting it. But that goes right into what you're saying here, is that people have, a dream to make it that far, but they don't dream to have the health, or they don't think about, the health that it takes to get there. And taking care of your body is a big thing. And as we see in America, that the obesity rates are up, the number of heart attacks are up, the number of cancer incidences are up, so we've got a lot better medical science, but people are leaving it to them to take care of them after they're sick rather than being proactive, keeping yourself healthy. It's a lot easier to be unhealthy and lazy than it is to work out and eat well. So
well, that all depends on what your future goals are. Maybe now, my sister used to say, you have that expression that says no pain, no gain. She would say no pain, no pain. And she refused to exercise. And so now she does Pilates, she exercises. We've got to change these childhood mentality, because it's so important for us to grow with where we're at today. And so in every single D that I have an action plan. And so what I'm hearing you say, and I say in the article, is we take our health for granted until you get a diagnosis, which starts with a D. Don't wait till you get that D before you start to dream about optimal health. And so with that in mind, I have an action in my article that I ask people to declare the health you want and research. Dr. Joel Fuhrman is a regular on my show. It's just an example. We have Dr. Neil Barnard. We have so many different ways that we can use nutrition, because, Jack LaLanne says something like, exercise is king, nutrition is queen, put them together and you've got a kingdom. And look at how healthy he lived and till his last days. And what Dr. Joel Fuhrman says is, you can live well into your hundreds and then maybe decline the last year of your life, as opposed to start declining at 65 or 54 with a heart attack or cancer, So, that was the first D. And the next one, is there anything you want to say about dream?
No, I was just thinking about Jack LaLanne. Hopefully most of the listeners know who Jack LaLanne is, but he could deadlift a dump truck into his 80s. I mean, he was kind of like one of the original fitness type people a long time ago. So I'm sure, for the younger listeners, Google Jack LaLanne. For the older listeners, they'll know who you're talking about.
Yes,
So.
thank you so much. You're
Sure.
like borderline older generation millennial, right?
Well, I've been old since I was young, so I just happen to know a lot of stuff from well before my time.
Okay, so the next one is determination, right?
Absolutely. Determination. And, a lot of people have a dream, but to get that dream to the next step, you have to be determined to do it. You can't just dream and leave it at that and expect that it will happen. Determination is something that I've certainly known for a long time in my life, because I've always wanted to succeed. And when I reach a goal, I kind of have one of those mindsets that it's not enough. Now that I've reached my goal, I need another goal that will push me further. And so that's just kind of always been my mindset. And I know that, a lot of people may not have that type of determination, or they may want it and not know how to, I guess I'm just lucky enough that's the way my brain is wired. But, it's just, trying to solve the problem, trying to move on, trying to figure things out, and, willpower and, the drive, which we'll be getting into in a minute. But, that all goes into the determination of, once you have that dream, it's the next step is being determined to reach it.
And the quote that I used for this one is by Tony Robbins, which I know most people know who Tony Robbins. Hopefully they'll know who Anthony Robbins is. But I quoted him saying, determination is the wake-up call of the human will. There's nothing like that diagnosis to get you determined, right? And so there's nothing like poverty to get you determined. There's nothing like, we can use all these things that happen to us as gifts and lessons. And one of the things that, I want to encourage people is to have that determination before getting the D, to look into, this is the action plan for that, is to look and research centenarians from Loma Linda. There's the blue zones around the world, and be open to learn what are they doing. Because we look at financially wealthy people and saying, why are they determined for that? Why are they determined for that? Use that same determination to follow that dream of good health, to be healthy mind, body, spirit. Because if we take that example, that 90% of your diseases are attributed to incidences in life, then what are those incidences that are keeping our health from thriving? Does that make sense?
Absolutely, yeah. And Tony Robbins is a great example, because he's not just, a great motivational speaker, but he's also such a positive influence. And, I've watched, it's almost like he was the original TED Talk, but he was, or I shouldn't say was, he is, the inspiration and the way he, kind of pushes people and teaches that positivity. So I thought, I love some of the examples you used through here. So I thought that one was a perfect one for determination, because he's really kind of that teacher of pushing on, of following through, of believing you can do it. And he's a big, believe guy. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so what are your Ds? We're going to continue talking about these 5 Ds for success when we return worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com with Tim Walters of Florida Today. We'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, this is, one of those things that people use so many things to become determined. Why do we wait until there's disease, that yucky D, to become determined? Because, the dream is not, it's sometimes a dream, like when we're looking at finances and we're comparing our health to finances, you have a goal, you know what you need to do. Maybe there's some people along the way that try to knock you down, but you still can keep focus and you keep taking the step forward. But there's so many distractions when it comes to mind, body, spirit, because we ignore what the brain and the body they're out of alignment. The gut speaks to the brain speaks to the gut. Then if we're eating foods that are not healthy, all of a sudden you have all this chatter that you normally don't have when you're trying to become financially wealthy. Now you've got in the gut, you have all of this conversation going on to the brain going, I want a Twinkie, I want chips and salsa.
What I've learned, Yeah, what I've learned in life, and it's the same whether it be for your well-being, or the cleanliness of your house or your financial situation. When you can keep up with it, then it's going to go well. But the second you start gaining a little weight, the second you start getting a little debt, the second you start getting a little unhealthy, the further you get into it, the worse it gets. So, it's that hard balance of trying to maintain and make sure that you don't fall behind. Because when you
Yes.
fall behind, it's harder to catch back up, and you seem to fall further and further. And like I say, if you don't clean your house up, it gets harder and harder, to clean all the rooms in the house. If you fall into debt, it seems like that debt grows quicker than you can pay it off. And when people get overweight, it seems like that weight gets put on a lot quicker than it gets shed. So, it's kind of having that mindfulness to be able to keep up with all of these things. Because the second you start to get in deficit, it's a lot harder to break even than it is to stay even.
Yeah, that's a great point, Tim, because so many of us, and I don't know what is easier. I don't know what is easier. If we can have a dream for success, financial success, or to have a dream for health, mind, body, spirit, and determination. Because, with when you have one thing that you're looking at, it's manageable. But if that's all, then if you're just looking at success, how many successful men and women have failed marriages, are unhealthy? How many, because you can really focus on that and think that's the end all be all. But what I wanted to do with this article is say, whoa, 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 whoa. There is more to me than just financial success. How can I get to that financial success and still have my health, still have my marriage, still have my children, still have, be able to make a difference in life, and still be happy? I mean, when there's so many people that are just so hyper-focused on what they think success is and arriving at that success, that they forget to feed their spirit. And then depression sets in, and then anxiety sets in. But those are things that you can still be functional, right? And still have, a great career.
Unfortunately, that type of functionality, often when people have that type of mindset, there's also other problems then start arising, like, substance abuse, alcohol abuse, things like that, because you're trying to cope. So
That's right. So when you're just focusing on that one thing, and then you get to the top and you go, where's my family? Where's my, and then who are your real friends? So getting to that place and keeping that, like those 4 plates: your career, finance, education, your mind, body, spirit, your relationships, and making a difference. That when I coach somebody, Tim, those are the 4 quadrants that we look at. Real good. You're financially successful. You have a great career, whatever. But let's look at all these other places and see if we can do. Okay, let me start by talking about the social media and all that, and then you can take over.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407-373.
That's right, forget.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show, where we always learn and grow together. And you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. Today's teacher is Tim Walters of Florida Today. And he is my editor, one of my editors, the other editor that I have to acknowledge, who worked really hard at making me stay focused on my 5 Ds and staying determined to finish this article the way I intended it to, is Robert McDermott, who is my first line of defense before Tim gets the article. But I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com. The article is there and ready for you to dissect as well. And I love your feedback. I love your comments. And so share it with your friends, share the article, and hopefully it'll prompt or plant a seed for you to see that there's more to life than financial success, which is important. Because yes, financial success is important, but there's other aspects that are important too. And this is what we talk about on the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. Not just for 5 seconds or for 10 minutes. We talk about it and we dive deeper into it so that we can grow together. And if something doesn't resonate with you, that's okay. that just let it go. Do you know, some things will resonate within us. So the more you listen, the more you grow, the more we grow together. And that's what the whole purpose of the show is. So the way you can support me is by becoming a subscriber. Everything we do is free on the show. So this is like our hour of Zen. We can reconnect with our spirit and learn a little bit more of what we don't know. And so go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. And while you're there, click on the buttons. Like my YouTube channel, when you click on that, subscribe, because when you subscribe to whenyouneedafriend.com and YouTube channel, those shows are sent to you. What you may not know is the YouTube video has the on the air and off the air conversations. And sometimes we can go deeper on these off the air conversations. Tim will share, or my guest will share a little bit more about who they are, and we can even learn more. So I want to encourage you that when you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as well as whenyouneedafriend.com, either the podcast or the video gets sent to your phone. So, and you'll get the inside scoop. So while you're there, click onto my social media, follow me there. Don't just like me, follow me, because when you do that, then whatever's happening on the show will be fed and you'll get to see it in your news feed. And so while you're at whenyouneedafriend.com, I always ask that you check out my sponsors and you support my sponsors the way they are supporting the show. Tonight, we're going to have, in Brevard County, we're going to have our facial and foot soak. So if you haven't RSVP'd for that, it is time to do so. That's tonight, 407-373-5959, which is a way that you can get a hold of me. If you don't want to subscribe, you can also subscribe to my my on-demand channels, podcast, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher. Now you can listen and stream the show as well on TuneIn. So if you ever have problems listening on whenyouneedafriend.com, you can also listen on TuneIn. So there's so much we're doing, so much we're growing. And Tim, I am just so grateful that we are able to work together with Florida Today. And for those, and if anybody wants to read the article, they can read it all over the world too, right?
Absolutely. FloridaToday.com/health. And obviously at your website too, whenyouneedafriend.com. And in the print pages of Florida Today, which is Brevard County's newspaper here on the Space Coast, and that will be in print tomorrow.
Awesome. Awesome. So let's go ahead, take over, because yesterday they took over my show. Mario February took over my show. Today you can take it over.
All right. Well, so we're going through your article, which is about the 5 Ds for success. Mm-hmm. And we've made it through dream and determination, which then brings us to our third one, which is the drive to do it. And drive is an interesting thing because it takes a lot of energy to have drive, I think. You know, some of the most successful people are these people that get up at, 3 o'clock in the morning and they work all day long and, work toward that success. And then they sleep a few hours and then they get up and do it again. Yeah. So, drive towards success. It's not easy. It's not something that you can do with, half-heartedly. Yeah. To be successful, you've got to work harder than the next person. You've got to, have that drive and that willpower and, all of those things. So, so drive is kind of the key. I'm glad it's your middle of the 3 because that's kind of, it's like the get over the hump toward being successful.
Yeah, it's my Wednesday.
You've had your dream, you've gotten determined, and now you've got that drive and you're reaching the top of the mountain. So.
It's time to, and the quote that I selected was from Douglas Horton, and he says, drive slow and enjoy the scenery, drive fast, enjoying the scenery. And so that reminds me of when my husband took me snow skiing for the first time. He puts me on snow skis. We just started dating. Actually, no, we had just gotten married. And he takes me to this top of the mountain after being in the bunny slopes. And the bunny slopes were kind of safe and I felt a little comfortable, but accidentally I ended up going down a black mogul on my first ski down because that's a long story that maybe we can get there some later, but still happily married 24 years later. And so I remember my husband saying, slow down, look at the view. And I remember at the top of my lungs saying, what view? Because it was so fast, you know, and I learned how to slow down, and I learned that that was very important. And drive is important, and it doesn't matter if you take the scenic route or you take the expressway. Be sure that your focus is on the end result. So how do we get there and still preserve our sanity? And that is something that I deal with on a daily basis. How do I slow down? And so exercise, nature, yoga, journaling, art, and of course, I've said this before, God made me a dancer. So I just have to dance. Sometimes I have to be a little silly because it's just what allows me to continue to fill my emotional bucket, my love bucket, which is what Gary Chapman talked about on my show many years ago when he was on. What fills your love bucket? And when you are driving with a full tank of gas, you will get there much easier than if you have fumes in that tank. What do you say about that?
Sure. And that's one thing that we haven't really talked about until you just brought it up there, is we talk about a lot of these things that you put your energy and your life and your soul into.
Sure.
But you do need that break. You do need kind of that sanity break. You need that other activity that's not always, driving towards something. So, for instance, in my case, my kind of release is my bowling league that I do once a week.
Did God make you a bowler?
He did. I'm not a great bowler. I'm a bowler. But that's, once a week, that is my escape for about 4 or 5 hours from work and parenting and everything else in the outside world, is I can sit there with my friends, and my wife is on my team, and it's, we have a 4-year-old, so we don't have a lot of just us time, but so it's nice that we can just kind of go out, grandma watches the little one, and we have fun, so don't forget along the way to have fun.
Yes.
Or you really will. You'll miss a key aspect of getting to that point of success in life.
That's thanks, Tim, for sharing that information. It's one of those things that when I wrote Drive, most people go, get there fast. We want to get there. We want to achieve. We want to blah, blah, blah. And that is true. And that is, different things in life support us at different times in life. And so when you're thinking of Drive, the last thing you think of is slow down. You just want to get there as fast as you can, right? So when I looked at Drive, when it comes to the mind, body, spirit, there's got to be more being deposited so that we can go faster with our career, so that we can, continue with that balance. So you positive and a negative, a fast and a slow, whatever, the yin and the yang, whatever allows us to maintain these aspects of our lives flowing through abundance. That's what makes a big difference. So anything you'd like to add before we move on?
Nope. I think we can go on to the fourth D. And this one was kind of the surprising D, because we're talking about the Ds for success, and you bring in disappointment as one of the Ds. And so, everybody will reach disappointment before they reach success. There's nobody that just goes to the mountaintop. And, I write this week actually in my Daddy Duty column about a term I had not been familiar with, but, we've all heard of helicopter parents.
Yes.
Well, this is a lawnmower parent. So a lawnmower parent is a person that mows down all obstacles in front of their children to make sure that they're never disappointed. So
that sounds like me.
Yeah, well, it's kind of what helicopters parents graduate to as their children get older. So, they might be the ones who, a kid does bad on a test, and instead of them working harder to do better on the next test, they have their parent go complain to the teacher, things like that. So, where my article is about how we're not teaching children anymore to put up with disappointment. We're trying to do away with that, and that doesn't leave a functional adult ready for the real world.
Absolutely right. I would say that was a great lesson for my parenting, which is to make sure that our children are strong and know how to deal with disappointment. But I'd like to continue this topic because this is a really big one for many people. And we're going to continue our conversation with Tim Walters when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Yeah, disappointment. I'm surprised you thought that, because every millionaire, billionaire, every successful person that I've interviewed has dealt with disappointments. And many of them, look at Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey was so successful, very young in life, and then lost everything and had to rebuild. Sometimes when you don't have that, I don't know, that side of your skill, the disappointment and dealing with disappointment skill, if that's not a sharpened tool in your shed, that could end everything.
Yeah, you know who is a great example too of somebody that's kind of had to figure that out a little bit later in life is Tiger Woods.
Ooh.
You know, here's a guy who at a young age, you know, rose to superstardom, you know, was better than everybody, and he really didn't deal with disappointment until, you know, he was found as a cheater and his wife tried attacking him with a golf club, and then his life sank. So here was a guy who really didn't have to deal with that.
And his game.
It all suffered. And then here's a guy who really didn't have to put up with that type of thing until his 30s. And then it destroyed a decade of his life. And now he's just figuring it out. But look at what it's done, you know, because part of it is not being able to cope with disappointment. Part of it is not knowing how to deal with it. You know,
entitlement
never had
too.
Yeah, and that's the ultimate entitlement, is somebody who thinks I'm so rich that, you know, I can go out and have sex with porn stars and my wife's not going to find out. You know, what a kind of like crazy, you know, egotistical. And now when you see Tiger, he's much more humble. He's much more determined, I think, than he's ever been. And now people have kind of seen his rise and fall, and he's put his life back together, and it's like they're trying to, now you kind of want to root for him. You know, I was never really a Tiger Woods fan, and I always thought, you know, big deal. And now you kind of see him and you're like, you know what, maybe now that he's 40 and he still takes good care of his children, and, you know, maybe, just maybe, he has figured it out, but it's taken him a lot longer than it has to a lot of people because of that meteoric rise. But boy, that disappointment, it's stolen a decade from what should have been the best golf career ever, and now he may not catch Jack Nicklaus.
But you know what? I wanna tap into this stolen a decade. Okay, stolen a decade. Would you say that going 10 years to school is stealing education?
No.
So he's learning. So that was a tough lesson for him.
Yeah.
So I mean, you can say it was a mistake, you can say, but really growth opportunity for him. Also, I want to tap into this 90% illness goes for emotional. You know, didn't he have a lot of illness after that? Didn't he have to have a lot of surgeries after that? You know, sometimes this life events just goes into our body and becomes part of the disease factor that we...
His back gave out on him.
Yeah, exactly. Oh yeah. Okay, this is the last segment. You take over and go over all the D's. We can continue talking about disappointment because that's a huge...
373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
And welcome back to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show. This is Tim Walters of Florida Today, and I am Lillian's guest this week, and we are dissecting the article that she has written for us. She writes an article that goes in print on the second Thursday of every month in the Florida Today Health section, and it's also posted online. And then Lillian has me on here once a month to break down that article, and I love coming on here and, you know, spending an hour with Lillian to break this down. So her article this month is about the 5 Ds to success. And we were working on the 4th D when we went to the last break. So the first D was dream. The second was determination. The third was drive. And we just started to break down what might seem like the most surprising of the 5 Ds to success, because this one is disappointment, which is something you don't often think of when driving towards success. But every successful person, you could ask the richest person in the world to, you know, a middle manager somewhere, but they have all had some form of disappointment in their life that they either have had to overcome or are trying to overcome. And when we went to break, I was discussing how, an article I've written this month, I wrote a parenting column called Daddy Duty, is, about a new phenomenon that's growing called lawnmower parents. And these are people who mow down obstacles in front of their children so they never know disappointment. Mm-hmm. And it's setting up this wave of young people who don't know how to cope. So when they, get some form of disappointment, they might shut down or expect their parents to fight their battles for them. And that's just not a good way to prepare someone for the real world. So disappointment, Lillian, that's, how did you come up with disappointment to be the fourth D? Because as I said, it's not one of the things you normally think of, but it's certainly a big part of success is disappointment.
Absolutely. Well, I'm thinking about my own life as well as some of the wealthiest people, the opportunities that I've seen in other people. And I quoted, like during the break where we have our conversation, I had mentioned Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey rose to success for, very quick in life and lost everything. There are a lot of people that financially, and you can see that money in, money out. But when it comes to the emotional side of our life, and again, going back to the quote, and you can find this information in PubMed.gov. You can find it in the location where I had mentioned it before. You can just read the article and find it there. But the fact of the matter is, illness can be the root cause, or that disappointment can be the root cause of that illness. And so because I'm so aware of that, anything that breaks down, not only in my body, anything that breaks down, like if my car breaks down or my appliances break down, I know that I'm emitting an energy. There's something going on, and it is time to stop, drop, and roll. Stop and think, what's going on. The quote that I selected for disappointment was, disappointments are to the soul what a thunderstorm is to the air. After a thunderstorm, when there's about to air, you feel like this energy being sucked out. It's like this air. Maybe for me, I don't know if any other people feel that way. And so that once that rainstorm, once that thunderstorm happens, everything is going to clear up. But we've got to make sure that we do it in a way that it is healing to our mind, body, spirit. So one of the action plans that I ask people to do is to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, the 100% responsibility page. And this is where many of us don't want to look at these past hurts. We just want to ignore them. And we get to go through these past hurts and ask these 4 wonderful questions, and we get to write it down and we get to dissect it, or they can call on me and I can be their coach. But these are so important. And I want for people to understand that when we deal with disappointment is not, or these incidences in life are not things that are happening to us. But we can ask instead, how did this happen for me? So instead of, why did this happen to me? Why does everything happen to me? This is the entitlement mentality. Instead, you can say, why did this happen for me? What are the gifts and lessons? What am I to learn here? You were talking about Tiger Woods during the break, and how it's taken him 10 years to figure out how to deal with disappointment. And I would say, Nick Anderson was another one, those 3 baskets that we could have won the championship, but it wasn't just that. So how do we deal with these moments in life that aren't the best that we would think are the best things for us or to us, but they end up being our defining moment, the moment that if we get it, that this is for our growth, the moment we get that, things shift. So that's pretty much what I wanted to say about that. I don't know if you have anything to add.
No. The only other thing I would add is, I was taught this early on in life, and it's something that I still live by today. Instead of asking the question, why me? Ask,
why not?
Why not me?
Why not?
So, that's kind of something I've always had in my head. So, so we'll move on to the final D.
Yeah. Yes.
Which is difference. And there are a lot of things that are easy to do in life, but making a difference to someone is incredibly hard and takes all four of the first D's to get into. So tell us why difference was your fifth and final D towards success.
Yes. And of course, making a difference, being a difference, all about being, and who knows, maybe being different, so difference, making a difference is so important. It's giving back. The quote I selected for this one is by Tom Brokaw, believe it or not. He said, "It is easy to make a buck, but it's a lot tougher to make a difference." So making a difference, if people are depressed, anxious, the best way to regain yourself and reconnect with self is doing something for someone else. But keeping in mind that is could be a temporary fix and a false high, because eventually we need to give from a place of abundance. We can make a difference in our own life. And that's why that slowing down and creating that abundance. But if you are depressed and you see somebody else is in need, that is contagious. When you see that person receive that gift, and the people that are giving that gift, the person who's receiving the gift, and the spectators of that gift all feel the same joy. And so it is important for us to put ourselves in that so that we can set ourselves for success. We can't forget how to make a difference. Does that make sense?
Sure. You know what I've learned in life as far as making difference like that goes is, when I do volunteer work for different things, it's always hard to give up a day off or a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. And, you get up and you're like, oh, I'm tired. And now I have to go do this. But then you do that work and you meet the people that you're helping and making a difference for. And then when you're done for the day, it's energizing. It's like, gosh, I'm so glad I did it. So you start out the day like, oh, I don't want to do this. And then you end up and you're like, gosh, the smile on those people's faces, or, the people that you've helped or led in the right direction, it's just such a wonderful thing. So it's keeping that mind frame and understanding that you may not feel like it, but you also, the difference you can make for someone is immeasurable.
Absolutely. And, the action plan for that one is to join an organization that fits that experience that you're having. So if there's been a pain in your life that you've dealt with, and now you're at the end of that, or you're still at the middle of the road, there's someone that might be dealing with it at the beginning, and you can help coach that individual to that next level and that next level. And somebody can help you. They're making a difference too. So I just, it's like paying it forward and being able to be there for someone. And that will be like, to me, this is stuff I made up. This is something that I've seen. This is something that I've put a name to it, or a 5 Ds to. I didn't do an acronym this month, but I didn't feel I needed to do one. I wanted to do something a little different with my D. So, and also vitamin D is so important. So keeping in mind the D's in life, sometimes we don't want to look at the D's in life. We want to look at the A's, but we want those D's in our lives make a difference, a huge difference. So thank you, Tim, for being on the show and helping me dissect the article in a much deeper way. You're always so wonderful.
Well, thank you, Lillian. I appreciate it. And I look forward to what our next topic will be, which I'm sure I won't know until 2 days before we go on the air.
No, it's usually sooner. Okay. And now for you, my listening friends, thank you so much. If your health, mind, body, spirit is not what you want, then figure out how the 5 Ds can work for you. And please remember, create the life that you want. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Yay! Good job. That was fun. So much that we can't even talk about. So I want to encourage people to go to whenyouneedafriend.com or floridatoday.com or wherever it is that they want to read the article. But, it's interesting that I wrote this article about this, and I started writing it. And I'm like, right there, I'm like, gosh, I'm not going to write about finances, because that's what I was looking, and I was admiring the financial aspect of their life. But what good is it to have financial wealth when you're not happy? Mind, body, spirit, right?
Yeah. It's like the Disney version of Ebenezer Scrooge, you know, where after you see the Ghost of Christmas Future, and then you see, you know, Pete, who is playing the Grim Reaper, and he goes, Ebenezer, the richest man in the cemetery. You know, it's like you can't take it with you. You know, what good does it do when you're dead? So do good things in life and don't hoard it, because when you're gone, you certainly can't enjoy it.
Yeah. And here's a myth too. When you do what you love, you do it for free. I don't believe that. I believe do what you love and earn a good living doing it, you know? And so that myth that you have to be poor to be happy is not real. You can have financial wealth, but also make sure that you have wealth, a spirit, mind, body, spirit, and joy. That abundance will help enjoy that financial wealth, not the wealth, enjoy the health. You know, you cannot just have one and neglect the other parts of us. And so that's what hopefully will come out of this article, and people will start thinking about their emotional well-being as part of their health, wealth, and love. So thank you so much, Tim.
Sure. The last thing I'll share is when we were in 7th grade, we had this teacher named Mrs. Jenkins, and she's actually still alive, lives on Merritt Island. And we used to say prayers every day. You know, it was a Catholic school. We'd say prayers every day at the end of the day before we left for the day. And, you know, everybody in class could pray for whatever they want to. And then she would always end it before you went into the Hail Marys and the Our Fathers, saying, you know, and may we come back together tomorrow, healthy, wealthy, and wise. And I've always remembered that. It was always just, we heard it every day, and it's just always stuck with me. You know, it's just tomorrow. I just hope I'm healthy, wealthy, and wise.
There you go. And then we need to make a plan to it. And so my mantra, now that you shared that, my mantra is I am healthy, I am wealthy, I am wise, I am love. And there are times where people say that and it doesn't resonate with them. And so you can say, I am becoming healthy. You can modify it so it becomes truth for you. And eventually that I am health, I am wealth, I am wise, I am love will become a part of who you are. And it will allow you to get those 5 Ds in gears to become what it is you want. So Tim, thank you so much. And I'm looking forward to our next conversation.
All right. Thank you, Lily. Good to see you. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.